on to The Boys season 3. So I finally got to watch it and got caught up with everybody. Man, this show just continues to be crazy. I guess right off the bat, something I did want to throw out is I guess now would be a good time since I'm caught up to kind of rank seasons, 1 through 3. And I'm kind of different. I've a lot of people from what I've heard from friends, and I think your opinion is that a lot of people have liked season 3 the most. Although I remember you said you liked 1 a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if people like 3 the most. I mean, it's done well critically. I don't know if I have my thumb on the pulse enough to say that, 3 is being just more generally
Yeah.
accepted as the better season. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll actually say in my opinion, I feel like for me, if I were to rank them, it would be season 2 is the one I like the most, then season 1, then season 3. So I would definitely say for me, this is probably my lesser favorite of the 3. But in my opinion, this season is still like top tier television at
All
the moment. It's
3 are
still like,
good. Like,
all of them are great. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for a quality show, I think consistently this show holds up. I have a hard time, I think, really ranking them, especially 1 and 2. I think I watched 1 and I finished it right before 2 came out, so I kind of flowed right between them, which I know is kind of what you did. But for me, that makes it hard to distinguish them. Like 1 and 2 just kind of become this big season because I watched them pretty much just all at once.
I watched all 3 of them back to back to back. So
1, I think, stands out the most to me just because, it came out of nowhere. I had no idea what to expect, so when some of the craziness happened, it caught me off guard. I'm like, oh, it left a bigger impact. 2, a little less so for me, I think, as far as the big impact it had. There were some crazy moments, but 3, for me, felt like the shock and awe season. I don't know about you, and I really don't want to get into some of the really weird, gross stuff if we can avoid
I
some of
want
those
to get into the really weird and gross
I don't
stuff.
think, honestly, I don't think I can talk about it. I just, my heart won't let me.
You didn't like Termite? Come on, Termite was great.
Oh, man. That first episode was probably one of the most disturbing things I think I had seen in
Did you
maybe
see
any media.
Did you see the behind the scenes of how they recorded that scene?
No, I don't know if I want to.
The let's just say the thing he runs into to actually record it, they had him, the actor, running on almost a green screen, and he actually ran into a giant that was actually built when he's like running from the back.
And
It's so crazy.
yeah. So for me, those big shock and awe moments stand out. And the one particular episode that kind of builds upon that same theming, I don't know, caught me off guard quite a bit. I liked
Talking
the
about what was it, the hero-gasm?
Yeah. I said I can't go into detail on it. Don't make me do it, Chaz.
You don't have to.
I'll say though, overall, like I think I liked the plot of this. I like flashbacky seasons. I found so I liked seeing the Soldier Boy stuff.
Soldier Boy.
And
Chris
I like
Evans, basically.
yeah, I liked I like this when this show tries to do the satire of traditional comic book heroes. I like that. So I like seeing their comparison. Like Homelander is their version of Superman, essentially, how messed up he is. So seeing their version of what is essentially Captain America, I thought was pretty fun.
Wonder Woman.
Huh?
Man, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
All of the basic,
So,
Flash.
yeah. So I find that fun. I liked the Black Noir stuff. I am disappointed how easily and abruptly it ended.
Because they actually built him up a lot in this season. They make him like he's very much like a sympathetic character. It feels like there's going to be this big, huge climactic battle between him and Soldier Boy at the end, and he kind of just
Gets off. Yeah.
destroyed. I'm kind of curious as to in future if they're going to leave him dead because he's lived through some like very traumatic stuff. I mean, how he was like destroyed by Soldier
Head
Boy.
was like blasted open. Yeah.
I mean, he somehow survived a nut allergy reaction in a coma. Yeah, I think he said he was in a coma because of that. So I think they
I have
very
a feeling
much.
they're gonna leave him dead. I mean, I know they they don't have to. It's a comic book show, so they can do whatever they want. I feel like, and I haven't read the comics, but I have watched like some comparisons, what they've
Hmm.
changed, what they haven't. I don't think Black Noir was supposed to die there, like in the comics. I think
Hmm.
he goes on longer in the narrative. So,
I would
um,
be totally okay if they kind of just fashion him in the vein of Deadpool, which it kind of seems like he kind of almost is, with the suit and
he's got some
not
regenerative
regenerative
capabilities.
abilities. Yeah,
I just remembered all his weird
the
cartoon
cartoon stuff I
flashbacks.
loved.
Yeah. Oh, that was messed up.
I absolutely loved the narrative decision of using something to kind of help him deal with the
How
problems
cope
that he
with it.
has.
Yeah.
That's his way of coping, is to like
And the
imagine these
way those little
cartoon
animated
characters.
characters acted out the scenes was really good.
It
No,
was so sad when he dies, and the characters are like,
it's okay.
"Don't worry, it's okay. You're you're going to heaven now," and it's just like, whoa,
Yeah, no, that was a very boys moment. So,
real.
um, I'm trying to
Um,
think anything else. I'll tell you some characters I'm getting tired of. Um, Starlight, I don't know. I feel like she's serving the exact
yeah,
same role. Like there are some characters that I think right now are stuck in a weird spot where they're not really evolving too much. Like
I'll be honest, I didn't really like Huey
I
in this
didn't
last
like Huey
season.
either. Like Huey's done that, back and forth thing the whole show. Like he's like
Hmm.
he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. Um, and I think there was just still too much of that in this season. I felt like at the end of season 2 was about as much stomach as I had for that kind of behavioral shift, and it seemed like he was sticking to something at that point. But now he started going back and forth again. The way he,
Hmm.
even treats Starlight in it, which I think is kind of crappy. Like I think is supposed to. Maybe I'm missing this. He's supposed to serve as kind of the audience moral perspective, but I don't feel like I agree with his perspective most of the time. So maybe I'm
Hmm.
just missing it. And they're trying to build him in a different direction, but I don't know. I'm kind of over him, and Starlight just kind of she feels the same to me. So I'm ready for her to do something different.
I I do ultimately feel like that's, to me, is what makes this season lesser than the previous two, is that I feel like, in my opinion, this is probably the most tropey of the three seasons. There are some plot elements that are like, they're kind of things that you would expect that a show like this would do. Now again, I will say, in my opinion, all of that stuff that I'm talking about solely revolves around, in my opinion, the Butcher and Huey kind of plot of, them getting addicted to the compound V serum, and a lot of their decisions that they start to make after that addiction type stuff is just
Yeah,
kind of like, it's
I
like
feel like
typical like power hungry type things.
I feel like Huey's starting not to serve a point either. Like I haven't watched the first 2 seasons in a while, but I feel like he had more agency and more of a reason to be involved. But this season, I'm trying to think what he really brought to the table, besides maybe some contrived reasons for him to be around, and just to have some conflict with him and Butcher and Starlight.
If you think about it, where he starts off at the beginning of this season is exactly where he's at the end. I mean, he comes off of the high of the drug, and
Mm.
he's back because the whole point of this season between him and Butcher is that he finally agrees with Butcher that Butcher's way of doing things is the wrong way, but it's
The
the way to get
necessary
things
way.
done, the necessary way.
I guess he's
And
supposed to be the thing that grounds Butcher a little bit, but I don't know if I don't know the way Butcher views Huey, or at least has interacted with in the past season. I'm not feeling that connection anymore. Like I don't know.
mhm. And ultimately, like, they do certain things where it's just like, dude, you've seen at this point, like they hit you over the head with the whole idea that everyone Butcher ever gets close with or any stuff like that, he ends up ultimately hurting, and it's like, yeah, that is the truth.
Mm.
Basically, anyone who he gets close with, or he decides to work with, he eventually will begin to use them, and it's just like
Yeah,
he gets things done, but he destroys everything he touches in the meantime,
yeah.
and
I guess
you
sometimes
know,
I have a hard time understanding. Like, I mean, I get that's his character, but when he makes certain decisions that lead to moments like that, I don't know if I really agree with how that character acted. Like when he what's the son's name? Homelander's son,
Ryan,
Ryan. Like when he flipped out at Ryan and basically said, "I don't
it
care about
felt
you."
totally
That felt
like
out of place. Like
it did.
I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, anybody he's close to, and I understand why he was doing that. I was supposed to, protect him by distancing him, but
But it's like, dude, this kid is possibly the next strongest
and
hero in
just
the
in the context of
universe.
what was going on, I feel because it seems like he cares for this kid at some level,
Hmm.
and I feel like that's not I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading the character differently. I don't feel like that was the right character action for that. Which I know
I
why
agree.
they did it. They wanted to push Ryan back towards Homelander so they could set up what's coming. It just I don't know. Maybe it's the way that Butcher's being portrayed. I don't know. But either way.
And they almost did it again because there's a scene where Starlight finds out the ramifications of taking the compound V,
Mm-hmm.
and so I thought they were gonna like go through with it where she tells it to Butcher, and then Butcher never relays the
Doesn't tell him.
information
Yeah.
to Huey, and I'm like seriously? So Butcher now knows that if Huey takes it again, that this could compromise both of them and kill them, and luckily, I guess Butcher does the right thing and it leaves Huey behind, but it's like they almost like made Butcher the bad guy again. Who
Well, I guess that's my point. Like, they usually do pull back on Butcher making that decision, like of being just the straight up bad guy. Like, there's always like some thread there that kind of keeps him. Like, he makes that decision to basically spare Huey. I feel
Mhm.
like the moment he had with Ryan would have been one of those moments. But I don't know. You could probably argue both ways. Like, he was emotional, et cetera, and he felt like that was probably the best thing. He thought that was protecting him. I don't know. I just didn't like that moment when it happened. It wasn't even that I was just like felt bad for Ryan. I'm just like that just doesn't feel right to me. But that could just be my own take on it.
Yeah, I mean, at least the narrative decision of doing the Compound V stuff with Huey and Butcher, at least with Huey at the very end, he kind of makes up for it by because Starlight is about to get killed by Soldier Boy, and he has the decision of taking the Compound V, and luckily he refuses and raises up the lighting in
Mm-hmm.
the room to give Starlight more power, and it's like, okay, so there is like a little there was like a nice result out of that. He makes the right decision, and it's just like they don't do that with Butcher, where essentially Butcher just ends up ruining everything once again, kind of. And I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I mean, I think you kind of mentioned this, and I think the more I think about it, I do kind of feel this. Like, all three seasons are good, but we're getting to a point where I think things are starting to feel maybe a little stretched thin, or like where the character bouncing back and forth or certain
The
tropes
writing
just
the writing takes a subtle dip,
I don't even
I
want to say
think,
it's
for
the
this
writing because I think
season.
the writing quality is still really good. I think it's more how long can they stretch some of these character arcs slash behaviors. Like I feel like some of these characters should be moving past certain points. And
There
maybe
is oh good.
no, say what you're saying.
I was gonna say there is some like that's the one thing I like is other than those couple plot threads we were talking about, that's the one great thing about this show is it gives every character like a great arc. Every
Mm-hmm.
character has like a fantastic arc in my opinion. Everything that happens between Kimiko, Frenchie, Mother's Milk, everyone has like
I liked
really good
MM's arc. Like I feel like
MM, yeah.
he had kind of. Once again, I'm trying to remember back to the other seasons now, but I feel like he hasn't had a whole lot of time to really shine or get a whole lot of information about him. So seeing how Soldier Boy has impacted his whole history and his ties to things, I
Mhm.
think was pretty interesting.
Even a character like A Train has had a fantastic arc. Like the whole scene at the Hero Gasm where like Huey is like confronts him and
Hmm.
he
And he
and
braced
like
us like, "You're right. I'm sorry."
yeah, Huey wants him to like say something bad, and then A Train is just like, no, you're right, man. What I did was totally messed up. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You know, think about that forever. And Huey is clearly hopped up on the Compound V, wants him to say something to make him punch him in the face, and it's just like I don't know that there's some like really great scenes. This show
There
still
are.
is really there's some fantastic scenes here.
Yeah. I do think Huey though has been repeating his arc a little bit. Like
I
I
agree.
think that's what maybe that's just when I think back like that's standing out now is kind of like a sore spot for me. I'm kind of tired of Huey, but everything
Hmm.
else I think overall I definitely want to see where it goes. I am probably like everybody else. I'm just waiting for Homelander to snap. Like I feel like that's the next big thing that could happen, right? Is for him
Uh,
just to basically
he's
really not care. I almost felt like that should have happened this season, but the Soldier Boy stuff kind of brought that back down. But that's really what this whole show has been building towards, is Homelander just going crazy. And I mean, as much as you don't want to see it, because you know that's like the worst thing, that's also where this whole thing is kind of going to. So I'm hoping season 4 gets us there. If it drags it out longer, I don't know. Because really, what's Homelander's arc beyond that? Like, what else can he do? He's not going to all of a sudden turn good from this, right? I don't think he can back down from where he's at. And to be fair, I know nothing about the comic, so if he does, I'm sorry.
I mean,
Um,
maybe Homelander creates Ryan to be, or pushes him in a direction to be worse than him. Maybe that is the ultimate direction, is that Homelander to stop Ryan from killing everything, or but
See, that just
that
doesn't
doesn't
feel
make
like it's
sense for
in
Homelander.
Homelander's arc at all. Like, I feel like Homelander wouldn't care. He'd be like, great, because he thinks both of them are better than everybody, right? They're superior beings, and
But it could make sense if Homelander has a sense of like, he does very much have a superiority complex though, so
if they give him a
maybe
soft spot to that regard in the next season, I'm not gonna like it. Like,
really
I don't know. I
that
mean,
he wants Ryan to be like him, but ultimately he wants to be the one on top, and Ryan wants to
that's
be on top.
that's really what it is. Like, they've alluded to him. He cares he has a son, and I can get that. He's got a messed up, creation upbringing, but this character at his core is pure narcissism. Like, it's about him all the way. So I think anything where he all of a sudden puts Ryan or whoever above him, I think is at some level always going to feel out of place. I mean, if you try to justify it that he's had, like, I don't know. I just don't feel like he should characteristically have that change where he would even care about his son to that level beyond his needs. So
Maybe they could find a way to remove his powers, and then Ryan seeing him with his powers removed, then all of a sudden thinks of him as useless, and then all of a sudden that might be an interesting take of him being more human, and then having to
maybe.
deal with the consequences of what he's done with Ryan. You know what I mean? Like maybe they find a way to um take the radiation aspect of Soldier Boy,
Right.
create
Remove his
serum to
powers.
remove powers. That might be interesting, and then he has to deal with Ryan and try and like, because then Ryan's the most powerful. I mean, there's some interesting directions they could go in.
Yeah, I think I
That would
feel.
flip things on Homelander too.
Yeah, I think the problem is I see how they would want to play out that story arc. 'Cause here's the thing: if he loses his powers, then Butcher's goal would be, okay, I can kill Homelander now. But I can already see where they'd go with that. They'd get to the point where Butcher's about to kill Homelander because he has no powers. He's like, you know what? A worse punishment is to let you live. And I think
Hmm.
that would just be the stupidest thing, because then it's going to be this contrived thing where Homelander gets his powers back, and we're like right back to where we started. Like, I think what I'm getting at is I'm feeling the stretch that you're kind of mentioning of like, okay, we've been on these story beats for a long time. The whole thing has been Butcher trying to get Homelander, and I feel like we're getting to the point where we kind of need that payoff. And if they do something to stretch it further out in the next season, I'm gonna start feeling a little cheated, if that makes sense.
Definitely have things lined up. I'm very intrigued by some of these plot elements, like what exactly is going to happen with Butcher now
Mm.
that we know he has just a few months to live. Um, Still
I don't
curious
think
about
that's
what
gonna end
happens
up
with
being a
Ryan
major
and
thing.
Homelander.
I think the
Yeah.
Butcher will find a way to be around longer. Like, they'll come up with some cure, some other superpowered something that keeps him alive. Like, this show, I think, would have a hard time surviving with Butcher not being around. Like, who's then the opposition really to Homelander that we're gonna care about? Huey,
No.
MM, Frenchie, like, and
Mm-mm.
I definitely don't want to watch a show that's just Soldier Boy versus Homelander. So, like, Butcher has to stick around. If they kill him off, I'm not sure what direction the show could take. So I'm sure there's a cure in the next season that's going to keep him going.
I will say that was kind of a disappointment as well at the end of this season, is the fact that like everyone basically lived. Like, I mean, we talked about it off the stream like a few days ago. But the whole idea of a show like this versus like Game of Thrones, where for the longest time Game of Thrones was great and epic because of the how unpredictable it was, where it could kill off anyone, no one was safe, could go in any direction, and then towards the latter end of the series, it waned because people started to get plot armor. It felt like they were, they just refused to do things that they used to do, and it became very predictable.
Yeah.
Whereas like the latter end of this season, like the whole Maeve and Soldier Boy thing. Like, I'm not saying I wanted either of them to die, but like, feels like it was necessary. I mean, now all of a sudden, now Maeve is a wasted character because now she has no powers, and that
I don't
she's
say she's
gone.
wasted. I mean, I agree. I don't think I need to have characters die out of nowhere. I mean, this is kind of
But
this
it,
show has
but
kind
it,
of set itself up to be that kind of show, though, where
mhm.
you are kind of expecting the unexpected death here and there. So, I think my bigger issue with Maeve is not even that she lived. I mean, okay, that's fine, but it was such a better story beat if she would have died. That's something I feel like this show hasn't had much is characters going out strong, like having a good,
Mhm.
complete story arc besides just randomly dying. Like, that is one thing. Like some characters who die just die out of nowhere. There's no resolution to their story arc or whatever. They're just bam, they're gone.
Has this
So
show had someone major die?
I won't say
Well, other than
major.
a couple of the Vault people,
Yeah, like you've had Black Noir. Like you've. I don't think you've had like
I don't think Black Noir's dead.
major. No, I don't think you've had major people die. Like you think about the core of the boys, Frenchie, Butcher, and Huey. They're all still around.
Hmm.
Kimiko, she's still there too. Most of the seven is still there, barring like Black
I guess
Noir, a couple.
Becca's the only one,
Yeah, but man, I don't think
and
she was essential.
Homelander's mom, girlfriend.
Yeah,
So,
but yeah, I mean, you could argue how main those characters were, but I
mhm.
guess my point being is I feel like Maeve would have been a nice change of pace because her story would have really felt complete. You know, like she's felt, a lot of guilt over what's happened, how she was going to reconcile. Because, I mean, she's not innocent in this whole process either. She never stood up to Homelander with something crap down on the plane or any of that kind of stuff. Like, she was complicit to it. So that her taking down Soldier Boy could have been some true resolution to a character. And then her, dying at the end. Like that could have given some finality to that, sacrifice. And no character I think has really gotten that. No character that has died has had that. They've just been weird deaths. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a missed point, but maybe that's just not what the show is. The show is not about giving you
Mhm.
that nice, satisfying death for a character. Maybe Maeve is going to come back and have some other crazy crap happen to her, and she'll have some
Mhm.
unexpected death and all be pointless. Maybe that's the whole point of this thing. It's just all pointless, Chaz. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
There's my
I
jaded.
guess real quick, I just want to mention a few scenes before we move on. I really liked some of these Homelander scenes. Man, are so freaking good.
They're the
All
best
the best.
scenes. Like,
Homelander and the girl attempting suicide on the building, and
mm-hmm.
he finds out Stormfront
Yep.
committed suicide,
And it's just
and
like,
he's
just
just
go, just do it.
just go, and then she's like frightened of him, and she's like, no, I don't want to, and you know what he
It's messed
does?
up.
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
Like he is honestly, he's the reason I watched this show. Like,
He really is.
I
That
love
actor's great.
Keith Urban. He's great.
Carl Urban.
Carl. Why did I say Keith? I'm thinking someone else. Carl Urban is great. I like his portrayal of Butcher, but all his scenes are just fine. All of Huey's scenes are just fine. Anything really happening with the boys are just fine. When
Yeah.
Homelander's there, that's when the tension jumps up. You really don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's a much better show when he's on the screen.
There's other scenes, man. I remember, like, I loved the scene at the end of episode 2 where Homelander, like, onto the live audience is like, he's just like, no, I'm tired of being controlled
Mm-hmm.
by you guys. I'm better than you. You should be worshiping me. And he's just like, I'm not listening to you anymore. They kind of waste that whole plot though, because like he talks about how he's done with everything, and then afterwards they tell him that his numbers are up, and he immediately reverts back to like, oh, cool, all right, I'll
Yeah.
walk again, walk the line again. They
But that's
kind
the
of
whole
waste.
point. He's on the edge of that snapping moment. So it's like he goes as far until he gets appeased, and it's just like at some point I think it's like it's gonna bottle up until he pops. So I think that's kind of where they're getting towards. And I think it's just, at least for me, I'm overly anticipating that popping moment. So I agree. I think the back and forth on that's getting a little old. I need to
Mhm.
see just that boilerplate moment or that popping moment where he just goes for it.
Oh, I totally forgot. There was the great scene of him talking in the mirror to his like other half,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like
Very Willem Dafoe.
very Willem Dafoe, where he's like, you're where you're at because of your power, and all. That's just like, it was kind of a neat scene. Another scene I really liked was one of my favorite quotes anytime him and Ashley are talking, it's just like the most like dang it, Ashley. You know, it's just she's doing something and she messes up and he says, "Is your idiot brain getting effed by stupid?"
Mm-hmm.
And I love how like it's so mean to say to somebody, and then like literally a few scenes later, she says
She
that
says it, yeah.
to her other person, and it's like his anger and frustrations is getting like it's just it's like going down the line. It's like it moves on to her, and then passes that anger and frustration on to somebody else, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's a whole
And then
nother character, man.
yeah, I guess my last thing I'll just mention is I love the quote from Homelander where he's being threatened by Starlight, where she's going to release the tape of what happened on the plane, and he says, oh, it's a great scene where he talks about how if he were to destroy the whole planet, how he would do it, and he's like, I would attack the media stations first, and then I'd take out the main military
Mm-hmm.
hubs, and like it was great. And then he says, he's like, I prefer to be loved, but if you take that away from me, being fear is a freaking okay.
Yeah,
And great quote. There's some he really has some of the best scenes in the entire show.
agreed.
So you're looking forward to season 4 overall? I
Yeah.
would say I am.
Yeah, as I said, I hope it makes some bigger strides. Like, I don't know how long this show is supposed to run for. I know you had thought you saw something that was like 5 seasons.
I
And
thought I did, but I don't know for sure.
regardless if you did or not, I feel like that's honestly probably a good length. Like, I think season 4 can make some like big kind of movements for stuff, and then one more season to kind of like wrap it up. I feel like if they stretch it 6, 7, 8 seasons, I'm not going to be nearly as keen on the show at a certain point because I can already
We've
kind of feel it now.
we've mentioned it, but yeah, I feel like some of those plot threads are starting to kind of cycle up, like the Butcher, the Huey stuff. It's like okay, we
Honestly, I feel like they should kill off Huey. Like, really? Like, I think that's going to spur some character movement. And what does Huey really do at this point? Like, season 4, kill off Huey. That's what I'm going with. We don't need him. So,
Mhm.
season
I
4
feel like he's
prediction.
kind of the main character
Well,
though,
he
other than
is.
Butcher.
Well, okay, well, that's what we all thought about with Game of Thrones. They're like, oh no, Sean Bean's the main character, and all of a sudden chop off his
Yeah.
head, and we're like, oh, uh-oh. So, I don't know. I mean, I know he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be at some level the audience view into this world, but I think where they've taken the character and how they've kind of, I don't know, just not developed his character, where he's still back and forth.
Hmm.
Let him make some last minute righteous moral decision, die. Let Homelander kill him. I think that should, yeah, Homelander, kill Huey. That's my prediction for the next season.
Just one more last question. Do you hope this show? Would you rather see like a positive ending, or more of a negative ending? Because I don't see how this show could have a positive ending. I mean, I would think it has to end with.
I kind of expect a neutral ending. Nobody gets what they want. I don't think it's going to be like a bad ending like Homelander destroys the world kind of thing. I think they're all just going to, like, all these characters are all just going to end up exactly where they don't want to be. Like, some will be dead, some will be exactly where they're at with no way to get out of it. But ultimately, the world's not going to care. And the whole world's just going to keep on going. I bet there'll be like another corporation doing something that's kind of,
Mhm.
superfluous to this. I feel like that's kind of the way I view this show. Is like nothing these guys are doing is going to matter. They're all going to end up in a bad spot, and the world's just going to
Does
keep
it
on
have to
ticking.
end with Ryan kind of at the top of the totem pole? I mean, I think maybe.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Ryan could go either way for me. They could use him
I'll,
as a big
I'll be
MacGuffin,
honest.
or they could.
I feel like Ryan should die. I feel like Ryan should die, and that should infuriate Butcher, and it should be something Homelander does because of his ego, where he can't let one other I feel I agree with you. He has to have that because I feel like you've said it before, but they're building up to him walking off the edge.
Yeah,
You
he's got
know,
to have that tipping over point. So whether it be Ryan dying or somebody needs to just lose it. Kill
Mhm.
Huey, kill Ryan, kill somebody, and just trigger somebody, and the show needs to then take that next step into whatever crazy arc that's going to be. But I don't think this show is going to end with the world being destroyed or anything weird. I also don't think it's going to be happy for anybody. It's never been what this show is about. So I'm thinking just middle of the road, nobody ends up getting what they want, so maybe like one side character out